My first Olympics was 1976, Montreal, silver medal there. 1980, I made the Olympic team, but we didn't go, we boycotted. And then 84, Los Angeles, I got 2 gold medals, 3-meter springboard, 10-meter platform. 88, Seoul, Korea. In the competition, the men's prelims, 3-meter springboard, bonked my head on the board on my reverse 2.5, go crashing into the water. You know, at first, I was like, oh my God, what was that? I heard this big hollow thud. Oh my God, that was my head. I was embarrassed. And I still had 2 more dives. So, I turned to my coach after they sewed my head up and I said, you know what? That's all anybody's gonna remember me for, is hitting my head on the board. But, I did come back and I qualified, I think, 3rd going into the finals. And then I came back and won. I was 2-time gold medalist. 3-meter springboard, 10-meter platform. I was diagnosed HIV positive 6 months prior to those Olympic Games. Ryan White was the young hemophiliac who contracted HIV through his clotting factor. He fought for the right to education for kids living with HIV/AIDS. I reached out to the family and said, come to the Nationals, I'd like to share that with you. Because I figured if I reached out to him and was not afraid, then maybe other people might not be so afraid of him. And so he was my inspiration. After I hit my head on the board, I knew that Ryan was a fighter. He was my inspiration to get through that Olympic Games. And I gave that medal to Jeannie White, his mother. I kind of knew in my heart those were my last competitive dives because I was 28 at the time, just diagnosed with HIV. People were dying. I didn't think I would see 30. Biggest obstacle that I had to face was probably depression. I didn't have the coping skills. Addiction is another issue that I've had to deal with. To date, almost 10 years sober. It's interesting because when you bring that up, oftentimes, with other athletes, like, oh, wow, maybe I should think about this and maybe address it, something in their life. Steve Foley, the high performance director of USA Diving, reached out to me. He said, how do we get you back into diving? What we came up with was mentoring. They really stress in recovery, to be in service. And what better service to be in but to help young athletes find their way? To find who they are and be true to themselves. David Bodaya reached out to me before I was named Athlete Mentor. And this was 2010, and now he's looking beyond himself. It's not about the glory of the sports. It's something bigger than himself. I think my path has been the ability to share who I am in an authentic manner. I was fearful that I was sharing all of my weaknesses, but what I learned was by sharing my weaknesses, I was actually sharing my strength. My tips for elevating yourself in retirement are being a better person today than you were yesterday. Or do something kind for someone else without the expectation of having anything or getting anything in return.